Yeah, so sorry about that. Unfortunately, it looks like my computer crashed in the middle of the last part of this, so we're going to go ahead and keep going. Let's see what Mr. Beefy has to say next.
He, being Andrew, has also been in physical altercations with his brother Joey. He has recently come to the attention of the court subsequent to aggression towards his family. Andrew has been chronically aggressive towards his mother.
Now, I think that Mr. Beefy meant truant, meaning missing time at school, and being aggressive to his mother is also something that's unfortunate, because it is something where the courts are going to take notice even if you're 15.
He often throws his weight around to get to WNYCPC, where he was admitted for the fourth time. Some quotes from his records state, Andy, probable PTSD with disruptive psychosexual development secondary to a history of child sexual abuse. He, being Andy, did display and verbalized deviant sexual fantasies, as well as behaviors of significant sexual pleasure with particular types of cloth and other inanimate objects, i.e., diapers. Juvenile.
Now, that comment about diapers is going to be interesting when it comes up later, because as we all know, Andrew is still somebody who wears diapers, and it's going to be interesting as we come up on more of that.
Mental health evaluation was done by Mr. Dispenza, and he too felt that the diagnosis of paraphilia not otherwise specified was appropriate for Andrew. He is grossly obese and has difficulty relating effectively to his peers, and states he prefers to have relationships with younger children because he finds them more comfortable to be with.
Now, grossly obese is now changed to either morbid or super morbid obesity, because it just sounds nicer. And preferring to be around younger children is red flag behavior. Now, if you're 17 and 16, okay, it's kind of weird, but whatever. 16, 16, 16, 15, that's something that, like, if you're in high school, things happen. But if you're 18 and 16, no, the 18-year-old's doing something wrong. If you're 16 and the other person's 12, you're doing something wrong.
It was strongly discussed that part of his probation entails the necessity that he engage in continuing counseling both with his family, himself, as well as group treatment for his paraphilia not otherwise specified. He clearly demonstrated the capacity to plan and organize his efforts at getting his needs met, and would use threats and distasteful lewd comments as a means of establishing and maintaining his desired environment. Results of his Rorschach test. Most adolescents with this level of impairment in reality testing and thinking have difficulty managing basic psychological aspects of everyday living without considerable assistance, structure, or supervision, and may meet diagnostic criteria for a psychotic disorder. At the core of Andrew's tendencies to become liable, violent, and aggressive in order to meet his needs is an ingrained characterological pattern consistent with the Cluster B personality disorder. At this time, Andy illustrates narcissistic, borderline, and antisocial tendencies and traits. He tends to lack empathy. He only displayed remorse for his past violence when he was held responsible for his behaviors, such as being at risk of legal consequences.
So, yeah, that's interesting. That's something that a lot of people have, like, where they're like, I don't really feel like having, or I did anything wrong, even unless I'm being punished for it. They're like, I don't care. That's a big thing with, like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't care that I did X and it hurt people. But if there's legal consequences, they'll be like, yeah, okay, let's not do that. So, unfortunately, that's not just an Andy thing.
Andy's final diagnosis. Access 1. Conduct disorder. Adolescent onset. Tourette's disorder. History of PTSD with no current symptoms. Paraphilia, not otherwise specified. Access 2. Cluster B traits. Borderline. Narcissistic, antisocial. Access 3. Morbid obesity. Hyperthyroidism. History of asthma. Allergy to Dimetapp and Demerol. Acne vulgaris. enuresis, history of allergic rhinitis, absent left testicle, history of gastroesophageal reflux, history of tachycardia while on Mellaril. Andy is also on the waiting list for participation in a group offered through Children's Hospital Buffalo, New York, for those who demonstrate sexually inappropriate behaviors. Psychoactive.
I believe Children's Hospital of Buffalo, New York still runs that program, and the goal of the program is to not shame the people, but to hopefully cause them to no longer have those thoughts, or if they do have them, to not offend.
Medications listed during Andy's stay at WNYCPC included Risperdal, Paxil, Depakote, and Vistaril. He was also given Haldol at higher doses at one point when Andy became grossly aggressive and violent. November 10th of 2002, Andrew was taken to ECMC for another psychiatric ER visit. Details unknown. Late 2002 or early 2003, Andy had a cyst removed from his tailbone.
Hey, Clean Stash, what's up? Yeah, this cyst removed from the tailbone thing. It's whatever. Probably not anything traumatic or anything, but yeah.
Sometime in 2003, exact date is unknown, while taking Andy to ECMC for a neuropsychological evaluation, Andy attacked Tom in an elevator. The source is being quoted, "When the elevator doors opened, they tumbled out with Andy still beating up Tom. An orderly called for help, and it took several men to get Andy off of Tom."
And I punctured his lung again. Did not.
July 2003.
Yeah, I've heard good and bad things about Beefy, but he's the only one who has the entirety of the timeline uploaded, and I wanted to react to it without actually having to read it myself. But this one, with the whole beating up Tom, I'm surprised Andy was able to do that at 18. Because Tom, this would have been, 22 years ago? Tom wouldn't have been a senior citizen at that point.
Andy was hired to work at McDonald's, where he was employed until August of 2005.
Now, Andy had said in the past that he was a Ronald McDonald impersonator at that McDonald's, but I can tell you that McDonald's never employed Ronald McDonald impersonators, as no Ronald McDonald impersonators have ever been employed in the Western New York or Niagara Frontier region.
The best job I had was working at McDonald's while in school. I was in training to be a manager and worked there for over 3 years. 3 months into my employment, I earned my first pay promotion, when normally you have to wait 6 months after being a new employee. Huge accomplishment there.
He had people holding his hand. Mom even wanted to work with him and everything else.
I worked at McDonald's. So what? Wendy's, Burger King too. Working nights for 1.5 years? Try almost 2 years, Mom.
The following picture of
I worked nights at fast food for a year. It was one of the worst jobs I ever had at a local taco place. So, yeah, 2 years working nights, working at a McDonald's, working at Burger King. If you can do that job, man, respect to you. It's a tough job, but working nights is one of the worst things at fast food because they never staff it enough. They never have the right people on, and you always got the rude people coming in through the drive-thru or coming in through the front, or people being like, "Can I get 800 tacos or 200 McChickens?"
Andy on the screen now is from 2004. November 2004, Andy continued to attend the Stanley G. Falk School Modified High School program in a 611 classroom. On December 13th, 2004, Andy informed staff at the Falk School that he bought an online high school diploma and that he believed that he no longer needs to attend school.
I forgot about that scam. I remember I thought about doing that, but then I was like, no, this is dumb. Why would I pay $119 for a high school diploma? But yeah, that's a scam that people run. Don't fall for it.
Smart.
2004, possibly 2005, the exact date is unknown. Andy physically assaulted his brother and mother. Thomas reported that 14 years ago, Andy physically assaulted his brother and mother and was thrown out of his home by a judge. Andy kept breaking in at night by unlocking the door or breaking the window when they changed the locks, and sleeping on the couch until Thomas or Janet gave up trying to kick him out.
Okay, that's absolutely ridiculous that they didn't just call the cops. I don't care how old you are. If a judge says get out of the house, you get out of the house.
He also has threatened his parents with knives. Now, this next part right here is the end of the first section, and it is an addendum added by the creator of this, which I'm assuming is the Andrew Ditch Poop Squatch 2.0 channel. It states, though, the following screenshot was taken from a November 2008 psychiatric evaluation referral form. It states that Andrew has a past diagnosis of schizoaffective and dysthymia since 1988. However, Andy would have only been 3 years old at the time, which is far too young for diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder.
Now, I don't know anything about schizoaffective disorder, but that sounds true, so I'm not going to argue with it.
This is likely a transcription error, possibly intended to read 1998 or 2008. Because of this, I have excluded the information from the main timeline, but have included it here in this addendum so the reader may decide for themselves. And then I have two documents that state Andy possibly essayed Joe. This does not correlate with Andy's extensive WNYCPC records, which state the patient has no history of being a sexual perpetrator himself. Because this allegation of essay is not mentioned anywhere else in Andrew's psychological records and has not ever been referenced by any member of the Ditch family in any recording that I have heard, I am led to believe that the two instances from Andy's school record documents are errors resulting from miscommunication. For that reason, I have excluded them from the timeline, but have included them in this addendum.
Yeah, I think I agree with Beefy here and the creator of this, that is probably not something that happened.
To allow the reader to decide for themselves. Alright, that was part 1. Wow.
Alright, thank you for tuning in, guys. That was part 1. There was a little bit of a glitch in the middle of the stream, so I'm going to download both videos and put them up together. Thank you for tuning in. I'll probably be back either live or recording later for the other one. Thank you, and have a great day.